Bye. Today, I'm pleased. Today, I'm pleased. Today, I'm pleased to make a truly historic announcement in our battle against the China virus that will save countless lives. Convalescent, strong antibodies from the blood of recovered patients to help treat patients battling a current infection. Convalescent, this is the only possible, and it's only made possible because of Operation Convalescent. Today, I'm pleased to make a truly historic announcement in our battle against the China virus that will save countless lives. We provided $48 million to fund the Mayo Clinic study that tested the efficacy of convalescent. The virus. Convalescent. This is the only possible, and it's only made possible because of Operation.
All right, welcome everybody. As promised, 8:30 p.m. in the East, 5:30 p.m. in the West, very, very late at night for our European friends and family, I guess. And we are here for the first presidential debate, Joseph R. Biden Jr. and Donald J. Trump, to be moderated by Chris Wallace of Fox News fame. And I predict it is going to be a wild, wild night. Allegations of juicing are running rampant. Allegations of earpieces are running rampant. And by that, I mean just Trump talking about it. Joe Biden's just been preparing for a debate. But we have, I believe, a very, very special evening ahead of us. I considered actually wearing a shirt and tie for this one. Then I realized my mom's going to get really weirded out if I go into her basement to stream wearing a shirt and tie. So I decided not to do that. No shirt and tie today. I did eat a pear, though. Bartlett, none of that Bosc nonsense. Give me a break, Bosc people. But it's going to be a very, very powerful night. So what to expect? A few different things to discuss here. And I see the super chats. I see them. I see all of it. I'm going to do my best to get to everything today. I see people signing up for memberships and all of these different things. I will do everything I can to manage the stream with the level of professionalism you've come to expect, which is like a 4 out of 10 probably. And that's, I think, what we're going for tonight. I actually would go further. You know, Donald Trump has been talking about Joe Biden should submit to a drug test. Joe Biden should submit to a physical inspection to see if he's wearing a wire, so to speak, an earpiece of some kind. I actually tweeted a few minutes ago that we actually should not only have drug tests. I want a weigh-in so we can determine once and for all whether Trump really weighs 239. You know where my money is on that one. We should have an IQ test so we can see if Trump really is a genius. We can have a neuropsych eval to see if Trump is really stable, and maybe throw arm wrestling in there. Why not? Maybe also a comparison of, SATs we couldn't do because Trump got that Shapiro kid to take not Ben Shapiro, some other guy, last name Shapiro. I would love a height check to see if Trump really is as tall as Tom Brady. My guess is that he's not. If we're really going to do this, let's not just do a drug test. Let's do the entire thing. You all know what I'm talking about. Of course, none of these things are happening. And actually, it's a planned strategy. The Trumpist right, decided today, talk about drugs that Biden could be on and talk about a wire, because Trump can't win on substance. Trump's losing this on substance. Now, that all being said, I do want to remind you guys, there are some tighter polls lately. We got a general election poll today from Harvard Harris, which is not a bad pollster, that says it's Biden +2. Hillary won by more than 2 in the popular vote, and Donald Trump is president. So when you see Biden +2, I don't like it. When you see Biden +2 in Wisconsin, I don't like that. When you see a tie in Arizona was supposedly going blue, blue, blue. I don't like it. My friends. Trump also now +1 in North Carolina. So the polling from today is not good. It's not good. And so we all need to be very, very much aware. This is PBS's pre-debate coverage. We need to be very, very much aware that this is not, to say it's not that it's not over. It's not even started yet. It's not even started yet. So I would encourage you to go. You can find a page on vote.org. It's vote.org/absentee-ballot. No matter where you live. I mean, if you live in France, it's just going to tell you can't vote, obviously. But if you live in the United States or have a legal address here and are voting absentee, it will tell you in your state how to request an absentee ballot. That's vote.org/absentee hyphen. That's the dash, not the underscore, the dash, absentee hyphen ballot. Okay. Very, very important. You can also look at vote.org's early voting, and you can figure out in your state if early voting is going on. This is only getting started, my friends. This is just the very, very beginning. Okay, let me look at a couple of super chats and a couple of Twitch messages and a couple of new members. I have fresh memes. I have a lot for you. And incredibly, we've got almost 25,000 people watching already. Nothing has started yet. But there's no debate yet. We've got 25,000 of you here, and we love it. And very, very exciting. We actually got to 1.02 million YouTube subscribers today. Okay, so a lot going on today. Let's see here. Mart Fillion asks if anybody has odds. I've seen that the betting line is on Biden winning the debate, but each side is going to claim victory. And we'll see if we get a look at some of the spin room after the fact. Other super chats here that are interesting. Nathan Shocker says this will be the strongest, most powerful stream in David Deepak Pacman show history. Believe me, folks, you've never seen numbers like this before. Someone told me we could get 100K live concurrent today. I don't see it. I don't see that happening. Christian Black asks whether I saw Trump's brain malfunction at his Jacksonville rally. He stops midway through the word unconstitutional. It's on PBS's YouTube channel around 10 minutes in. No, let me see if I can find that. I think I might have a way to find it more quickly. Trump has those glitches often. Trump unconstitutional. And we'll look at videos. Where is that? Okay, yeah, and our friend Aaron Rupar said that it sounded like Gregorian chanting. I'm looking forward to hearing this. Let's take a look. Here we go. Whoops. No, that's just a picture. Where is that? Hold on a second. Here it is.
These far-left justices would release violent criminals, shield foreign terrorists, impose sanctuary cities, and declare the death penalty totally unconstitutional. Hey, it will be totally unconstitutional. They want to declare it unconstitutional.
Okay. That is not so good. That is not so good. Let's see.
And declare the death penalty totally unconstitutional. Hey, it will be totally.
That's that brain glitch. Yep, that's what that is. And from the standpoint of medical, I don't know what that is. But it was very, very Gregorian, certainly. I no doubt about that. Okay, we now have video in the room. I always try to bring everybody video in the room. This looks like people who may be voting for the wrong guy. That's what it looks like to me. Is that Marsha Blackburn, maybe? How are masks not required in the room? How is that even allowed? Unbelievable. Okay, some very powerful super chats. I do want to say thanks to Arthur Van Merwick, who with a €50 super chat says, "Are you in your mom's basement? This amount should go to you getting your own place." I really want to get my own place soon, guys. Yes, please send money. Labik says, "Hey, you liberal but extremely intellectually honest hack. If by hack I mean person." This is another $50 super chat. "You always have such fair viewpoints. Even I, as a former Republican, no idea what I am now, but I ain't progressive. Agree with almost everything you say." Labik, you sound like a progressive to me, my friend. You sound like a progressive to me. Okay, this is Mark Meadows, I think, Donald Trump's completely unhinged chief of staff. Over on Twitch, very exciting things are happening. N Neptune has grabbed a sub. Comrade has grabbed a sub. Stoned Knoll. Jesus in the Pit. We are at the very, very tail end of September. And I don't want to miss that. Oh, there are new members as well. Hold on. Let me get caught up on those as well. JoinPacman.com signups. Mark Imbilicieri is new member number 1. Michael Striplin is number 2. April Medrano is number 3. Duncan Warren has signed up at joinpacman.com. Nick Larson is number 5. Kelly Shepard is number 6. Okay, no, you're not going to get me. Louis Sainas, I'm going to be very careful with that one, is number 8. You almost got me. Connie McCarley is number 9. Tim Gwain is number 10. I love it. We have set the goal of 50 today, just because, I had the wrong Zoom level there. But we are going to look at a lot of different things here. Okay, I have some fresh memes for people. Okay, let me see what I have actually. This, before we get to memes, this is the news side of Fox News, if you can imagine. This is the news side of Fox News, floating the conspiracy that Biden may have a hidden earpiece to be fed answers tonight.
Peter Ducey is reporting some interesting things.
If it's based on Peter Ducey's report, we can essentially dismiss it, but let's listen anyway.
I don't know if you've got these nuggets yet or not, but I'll read them for our viewers.
Yeah.
The Trump team asked to inspect the ears of each debater for electronic devices or transmitters. The Biden team has not consented to that. The Biden team wanted to break every 30 minutes. The Trump team said, we will not have that. What more can you fill in about those requests thus far?
Those are significant. First of all, the breaks are set by the debate commission. So the Trump campaign may not have agreed to it, but also the debate commission has always said that it's 90 minutes straight through.
Yeah, that's one of the things where Trump's demanding all this stuff like he has a say. Trump has no say over any of this stuff.
And that's how they planned for it, and that's what they told the networks. That's what we're planning for as far as our coverage. As far as the listening devices and the Biden campaign's response to that, I think that's interesting, and we're going to have to follow that through the day to what comes out of that. Yeah,
it's super interesting to look for devices. Okay, here is this is deep. Whoa, hold on a second. I actually need to mute this for copyright purposes. This is Deepfake Pacman here to get you guys through David Thor Pacman. We will be defending the audience. Okay, take a look at this. This is really, really well done. That's me with a beard. There I am. Love it. I would prefer like a more modern outfit, I feel like. Okay, anyway, so we've got that. What else did I have for you guys? A very, very nice article on The Wrap yesterday, which I don't actually have a subscription to, about how well the streams have been going and the YouTube clips have been going. If I try to scroll, I get a paywall, but I found the article and it has some very, very interesting things here. For example, where does it mention? Here. For example, The David Pacman Show, a progressive news show based out of Boston, pulled in 767,000 views on its most popular video between Saturday and Monday. It topped the view count on all but one video posted by MSNBC during that same time period. The most watched CNN clip between Saturday and Monday had about 500,000 views. Pacman, during an interview with The Wrap, which was like a year ago, 6 months ago, said his channel has grown to 1 million subscribers based on two factors: quality production, that what they mean by that is the blue panels behind me, and most importantly, a consistent schedule, meaning I promised you I would be here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, and I am here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that is a very, very exciting article, and much appreciate the coverage from The Wrap. Other wait, did I have anything else from the standpoint of memes? I don't think I did. Okay. Yeah, an important message. If we get pulled for copyright, now, C-SPAN to me is relatively safe. If one of my streams gets pulled for copyright, check to see if the others have been pulled. Okay, because we should, hopefully we will get lucky and at least one of the 3 streams will persevere. It's twitch.tv/David Pacman, facebook.com/David Pacman Show, and youtube.com/The David Pacman Show. Okay, so let's hope none of those ugly things happen. What else do we have here? Let's listen in a little bit to see what's going on. Nothing is going on. Okay. All right. And then let's listen in over on PBS.
Affordable Care Act will be on the chopping block.
All right. This stream not going super well for us. So we will just mute that and get back over to C-SPAN. Looks like there is some kind... Oh, let's listen to the admonishment of the audience.
My name is Janet Brown. I'm Executive Director of the Commission on Presidential Debates, and I'd like to welcome you to the first presidential debate of 2020.
All right, so she will admonish the audience about proper behavior and all of that stuff. In the meantime, a few other super chats that I do want to read. 9,000 CK says, do you think Trump will waddle his way around the stage trying to threaten Biden? By the way, your hair is looking schmick today. I don't know what schmick is. I hope it's not racist. I think that there's a good chance, if it's not going well for Trump, that he will try to do some of the physical intimidation that he tried with Hillary Clinton. I'm more interested by whether Trump is going to pull, like, as you guys know, Joe Biden has dealt with a stutter his entire life. If Joe Biden has a stutter, is Trump going to try to call attention to it and play it off like cognitive decline? And if Trump does that, is Joe Biden going to be prepared with a response? One idea I mentioned on today's bonus show, we were talking about this with producer Pat, is for Biden to go back and say, listen, this is a man who for 4 years has been making fun of everybody. He made fun of a disabled reporter. He's mocking me for a stutter, something which I have been dealing with for a long time. That would be one approach for Joe Biden if he wanted to come in with something like that planned, much like Kamala had a plan for how to go after Biden during one of those early Democratic debates. I don't know exactly what Biden's approach is going to be if that happens, but I'm certainly very curious to see. Okay, The Glaive asks via Super Chat, is Chris Wallace the only thing in Fox News that has any semblance of journalistic integrity left? Yeah, well, since Shep Smith left, essentially, yeah. I want to say thanks to the Viking Vagabond for subscribing with Twitch Prime, as well as Pupperonis, Blue Zeb, Small Fuzzy Moss has subscribed with Prime, Backer Gang, Jay Spanks, Shroom, and a bunch of other really, really great people. Michael congratulates me on my great coverage via Super Chat. I appreciate that. Mabbity Babbity says, I do hope this shoddy mask requirement enforcement becomes a story in the coming days. How is that okay? I don't understand how they have a maskless event. I mean, some people in the crowd were wearing masks, but many were not. I truly don't understand it. I don't understand how in the current circumstances you do an indoor event with no mask requirement. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely absurd. Other super chats coming in. Oliver Wilde asks about debate bingo. You know, I didn't do it. There's just so much going on and so much to manage. The debate we're still 15 minutes from the debate, and we have 35,000 people watching live right now, that I decided that we are just going to focus on the content. We're going to focus on the content once things get going. Big thank you to Tesseraction UK, who sends a powerful super chat. Says, British supporter here, not sure I'll stay awake through this debate. It starts at 2 a.m. But your coverage of politics has been so refreshingly based in reality, not just accepting any claim made either in the media or any live interviews. Thank you. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. We are now only 12 minutes from the start of this debate. I do want to hear from you. Super chat, Twitch subscriber messages are great ways to check in and tell me that you're here and that you have something to say. If you've been early voting, let me know. If you are all set with absentee, let me know. I want to hear what everybody's plan is. Absentee but dropping off in person would be interesting. That's probably my plan. Let's see what else we've got going on. Maria London has subscribed at joinpacman.com and is new member number 11. Sarah Shippey is number 12. MD West is number 13. Daniel Nafis is number 14. Jaded Brainiac is number 15. Very much appreciate that. And of course, we've got a coupon code that's live and a lot of really exciting things going on there. PBS not yet picking up the what's going on in the room. I would like to get any number of streams, though. Let me see if I can just pick something else up here. Let's see. Okay. Wait a second. Where is that? PBS. Okay, no, it just seems PBS just has not gone into the room yet, which is fine, which is no problem at all. Okay. Kyle Hopper says, tip mom for the setup and hairstyling. Yeah, I don't really live with my mom. It's just an ongoing joke. A lot of Hatriots who write in say, you basement-dwelling liberal loser who lives with your mom, blah, 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 you know, all that type of thing. So I play it up, but it's not actually true. What else do we have? Big thank you to Freedom Jesus, who's being very generous on Twitch with gifted subscriptions, which I very much appreciate. Sabrina Zafar says, did you hear about the nearly 100,000 defected ballots sent out in New York City? Defected? Defective, do you mean? I have not heard about that. I will look into that, though, Sabrina. And maybe you mean defective. I'm not totally sure on that. E says, David, please don't talk over the candidates. Thought you talked too much over the DNC. Save the comments for commercials. Love the show since 2010. Okay, I want to hear from you guys about this. Do you want me to do zero commentary whatsoever during the debate? Commentary, if I can squeeze it in without muting or pausing. Muted commentary or pause commentary. I don't like pause because it extends it so much and then we fall behind live. Let me see what people say. Some muted. Oh, some people say that they can't hear or see me. I have no audio or video right now. A lot of people saying they'll leave if I don't talk. Oh my God. Okay, it seems like the light touch. Okay, yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. When I sense brief pauses or audience reaction and I can squeeze in a little comment, I will do it just to give you a sense of the general tenor of my analysis of what I think is going on. But I'm not going to pause, and I really shouldn't mute. If there's audience noise, I could, just very softly mute momentarily and then maybe throw something in there. But I will do my best to do very, very little interruption of any kind, of any kind. Joe's quadcopter videos says, my wife is watching for the first time. She's hot. Well, good for you and your wife, Joe. That's very exciting. RV Living Life says Fox has 100,000 live viewers and Pac-Man has 30,000. That's impressive, David. Yeah, we're hoping for the best stream ever tonight. Right now we're at 42 and 32 is about 37,000 total. I would like to get to 50. Our record is about 45. That's the best we've ever done from the perspective of audience, live audience size. So we'll see. We'll see how we do. Thank you to Cinder Soul, who says via Twitch, let's see the shaming of Trump's taxes begin. Yeah, that's an interesting question. The Trump tax story is very Trump focused, so it could be perceived as biased to talk about Trump's taxes. But my instinct is that Chris Wallace probably would be able to frame it in a way that it applies to both candidates. And we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious to see how much is mentioned during the debate. Wallace Derricott says, David, you should talk the entire time and mute the debate. Can you imagine? That would be very disrespectful, I think. Ron Collins says, great job. Keep it up. Strike, boycott, unify against the corporate beast. More people coming out now. It looks like these are dignitaries from Case Western Reserve University, which is hosting this event. PBS still has not picked up the room live, but we presume that they will very, very soon. And we are now only 7 minutes. Okay, this says 10 minutes. Okay, but as far as I know, it's 7. Let's see what else we've got. Other people signing up on my website. I set a very ambitious goal. Oh, wait a second. What's going on with the Twitch subscription number? That's weird. Let me see if I can fix that. What on earth happened here? Let me see if I can fix that for you guys, because that's not looking too good. There we go. Okay. All taken care of. I really don't know what happened there. People are signing up at joinpacman.com. I love the show of support. Kate Aarons is new member number 16. And Georgina Egger is number 17. John Noble is number 18. Ryan Smith is number 19. Karsten Crow Simonson is number 20. Sarah Ventura is number 21. The bar will remain active throughout the debate, as we are now just minutes away from the first debate here between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Other super chats that are interesting that are coming in. Geodude says, I'm here to watch the debate and hear from my Argentine pal. If peeps don't want to hear you, they can go watch elsewhere. Keep it up, hermano. By the way, I have an exciting announcement coming later this week about Spanish language content. Okay, I think a lot of people are really going to like it. Really, really going to like it. Hazel Angus says, I hope Biden doesn't focus on taxes too much. He needs to sell himself as himself rather than just pushing I'm not Trump. I think that makes sense. I think that's a very, very good idea. Rocco Thompson says, so glad we have you, David, to look very strongly at this debate from the standpoint of arguments. Well said. I'm looking forward to the exact same thing. Sam Keller says, how do you think Biden will fare with Trump's aggressiveness and domineering personality? We'll know in 10 minutes. I don't even need to venture a guess. We're going to know in 10 minutes. Rhetorical Oracle asks whether I think they'll be on stimulants tonight. No comment. Let's just wait and see. At this point, there is no need for speculation. No need whatsoever for speculation. Robbery says via Twitch Prime, please do commentary during the debate. If I wanted no interruptions, I would watch another stream. That's aggressive. That's aggressive. Funeral says most views goes to you and Cowder. I don't know what that means, Funeral. I really don't. Jerome Sir Cruise Director says, as Trump asks for drug test, why Biden doesn't ask for fact check. Biden did ask for live fact checking, actually. I'll have to do what I can to help you guys with live fact checking. I don't know that we're going to get it from Chris Wallace. Thank you to Captain Crunch for the Twitch Prime subscription. Pix the God, appreciate that as well. We are very, very close to the start of this debate, and I am welcoming everybody here. The debate's scheduled to start officially at 9 p.m. Eastern, but looking at the timer at the bottom of the screen, I guess it's going to be more like 9:04. We believe that PBS will eventually go over to the debate live as well. Super chats continue to come in. Albix Ruroni says, David, glad to see you pushing Spanish content. In my opinion, they're the least informed in our country. That's not true. That's actually horrifying to say. Michael Riscotti says, what do you recommend ordering at Michael's Deli in Brookline? My friend and I are ready to pig out. David, we simp for you and your food recommendations. Yes, go in and tell Steve at Michael's Deli that David Pakman sent you. I would highly recommend. Here's what I would do. I would get a pastrami on pumpernickel with mustard while you're there as the Trump family lumbers in. I would get a pastrami on rye with mustard while you're there and get some corned beef to go, get some knishes to go. Spinach, I believe, is probably the best. Then get some potato. Sometimes he has it's under the umbrella of crazy knishes. He has a pastrami knish. Highly recommend it. And definitely get some of the pickles and maybe some whitefish salad. That's what I think would be a really great, nice order at Michael's Deli. And remember, it's cash or Venmo only. Cash or Venmo only. Okay, Chris Wallace is here. We are about to turn this over. Listen, my one request to you guys is get a membership on my website, okay? We might run out of memberships today, if you can imagine. But go to joinpacman.com. We're talking $2 a month if you use the coupon code above my head, 2020 now. That's our primary funding source, okay? 21 people have signed up. I think we could break 150 theoretically today. We've quadrupled the resources of our website to be able to handle the traffic tonight. I dare you to try to overwhelm the website with new memberships. But we may run out of subscriptions tonight. That's the crazy, crazy thing. And let's get now to Chris Wallace introducing some of these elements of the debate. And we have no audio here from Chris Wallace. How is that possible? Oh, because it's not playing. Nope, we still have no. All right, good. This is why we start early. This is just to be able to get everything set up correctly. Why can't we hear Chris Wallace? I don't know. Let's see if it's a browser issue. It seems to be. All right, not a problem. We have any number of different things that we can fix here. Default, here we go. Program continues in a moment. Oh, now this is muted. Why don't we have any audio? This is very strange. It's the source. Oh, okay. There's no. Oh. They are not. I see what you're saying. They are not transmitting the audio. Okay. I just got really, really scared. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it in another browser. No. Okay. There's no audio in any browser. Got it. All right. So now there's audio. What's going on here? He doesn't have it. I want to make sure that if this is same on the cable feed. No audio in Austria. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to check if, let me just see if, like, for example, I can get the Plasma song.
Today, I'm pleased to make it.
All right. That makes me less concerned. So it does appear to be the feed. Whew. There's no audio anywhere. I just got very scared, my friends. We almost had a very, very powerful. Here we go. Okay.
Pandemic, only about 80 people will be in the audience.
Okay. There is Melania Trump, I think. Is that who that is? Yes. Okay. Melania Trump there. And a lot going on here as we get very close to the start of this debate. Okay. Members, I see you all. Karen Stewart is new member number 22. Ryan Collins, 23. Robert Dishaw, 24. We will update. While the debate is going, we will update the bar. Okay. So nobody worry about that. All memberships will be credited. And let's hope that we do not run out of such memberships. William Ben Brooks says Biden should volunteer a urine test that Trump can collect. Yeah, Trump seems focused on urine. It's really bizarre. Really, really bizarre. Destination says, get a beer and chill. We will wait for you. All right, well, thank you. Hunter White says, FYI, I subscribed, but didn't hear if you got it. We're going to work through the list. Because there's a lot of stuff backed up. Jacob Paris is asking whether he should order pizza and Chinese food. I would probably just go with a pizza tonight. That's my sense. Maybe for the VP debate, go with Chinese food. I don't think that that's a bad idea. Thanks to Ramekin Beast, who has subscribed with Prime and says, thanks a lot for everything you do. Keep it up. Thank you. Thanks to Just a Fluffy Panda, T-Bone, Vargos, Catchow Bravo, Mania Jack, Sublush, Gazix, Aradens. Geez, these are some difficult names. Throw some vowels in there. All right, very good. What else do we have going on? Yeah, no, people worried about the audio. The audio actually is okay. As you can see here, the subtitles say silence. So that's what tells us that the audio is correct. And PBS not even in the room yet. We are tentatively 1 minute from the start of the first presidential debate. I'm so glad that you were with us. We do now have 47,000 people watching across all platforms, and it could not be a greater day. That does set a record for us for a live stream. We've never had 47,000 people watching at once. And we, in theory, will get the other two presidential and VP debates. So if you want to be notified about those, if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. If you're watching on Twitch, go ahead and follow. Let's get to Chris Wallace, apparently just about ready to start here. Prompter is ready to go. Still silence. Still silence. They said Trump is running. Are you serious? Trump is running late for a debate? That cannot be. Maybe he's having a medical issue. Maybe, maybe it's, substance. Who knows? Maybe if we see upper Trump come out strongly, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Chris Wallace continuing to wait, giving the 1 minute signal, as you can see. Oh, now Chris Wallace talking.
Good evening. Answers from the Health Education Campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic.
We're off and running.
I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden.
Let's actually go with the PBS feed.
Candidates.
That's my last change.
This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic, which is serving as the health security advisor to the commission for all 4 debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed the candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate.
Perfect.
The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you, can focus on what the candidates have to say. No noise except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, these 2 men on stage together for the first time in this campaign.
How you doing, man?
How you doing, man? Says Joe Biden.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court?
Here we go.
President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way. Good in every way. In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time, even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her. And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they'd try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, and looking forward to this, Mr. President.
Thank you,
Joe. The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for a United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is, because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that.
Perfect.
He ran on that, and he's
Yeah,
been governing on
exactly
that.
right.
He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now.
This is the issue. This is the issue.
Court. And the justice, and I have nothing, I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing is on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be held
Bit of a stumble
more
here.
money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy.
Strong argument.
They were able to charge a woman more
Delivery.
for the same exact procedure a man gets. And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, the insurance companies are going to love this. And so it's just not appropriate to do this before this election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
First half was
There
good.
aren't 100 million people with pre-existing
Second half, not
conditions.
so much.
As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully,
Oh, he just
very
lost his
strongly,
train of thought.
At some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time.
Trump
but a
just stopped
president's
short.
elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years.
What about Obama?
So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
During
election.
that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected
So did
for
Obama.
3 years. I'm elected for 4 years.
The
And the
election's
100
already
million
started.
people, Joe, the 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care, that they're very
That's
happy
completely
not true.
untrue.
Well, you're certainly
knows
going
that.
to socialist.
Go
You're
ahead.
going to socialist.
Socialist.
We're now
There
into,
it is.
gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open
First
discussion.
answer,
Yes,
socialism.
I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number
White.
one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not wipe any. And one of the big debates we had with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will under my proposal.
It's not what you said,
But
and it's not what
that
your party
is-
has said.
that is simply
your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your
That
party
is
wants
simple.
to go socialist
Wrong. My
medicine
party is
and
me.
socialist
Right
healthcare.
now,
There's
I
no
am
and
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Party
Harris.
is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of. Now, here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
Correct.
Joe, you've had
He's
308,000
interrupting.
military people dying
Someone's gotta
because you
control
couldn't
this.
provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk about
And
this.
if you were here,
Look,
it
here's
wouldn't
the
be
deal.
200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You
Late
didn't
on
want
the
me to
draw.
ban China, which was heavily infected.
First
you didn't want me
reference
to
to
ban
China.
All right, gentlemen,
Europe, which was heavily
Mr. President,
You would have
Mr.
been much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr. President.
You're talking about 2 million people.
You're
Mr.
not gonna be able to
President, as
shut
the
him up.
moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well
Supposedly.
in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is all
You don't know it's on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
Because
Why is
you
it on the
said
ballot? It's not on the ballot.
It's on the ballot in the
I
court.
don't think so.
In the court. Well,
There's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you
And you
just
don't
quiet
know
for a
her
minute?
view on Roe v. Wade. You
I
don't
don't
know her
know.
view.
Yeah,
Well,
she
all right,
stated
let's-
it.
All right, let's talk.
She stated it.
We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. So
This is out of
on
control
healthcare,
already.
and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to
Correct.
end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask...
He can't even
my
ask a
sir.
question.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
They were terrible plans.
Well, I'll
I
give
got
you
rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That
big
is not
chunk
a
of
comprehensive
Obamacare. That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris,
He
that
hasn't
was
even
the
asked
worst
the
part of
question.
Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like
and
you
we
to,
will protect
Mr.
people
President,
with
I'm the
pre-existing-
moderator of this
This is not a
debate,
debate.
and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your
Go ahead.
question. You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Right. Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me
By
just
your
tell
choice.
you something. That there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care.
What about
All of the
pre-existing
things that
conditions?
we've done,
He has not cut
insulin.
health
I give you an example.
90%.
Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people. The cost.
Insulin.
I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the truth?
Water.
So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because
When in
they
fact-
pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say,
of
this
what
is
we do.
open discussion.
No,
Let
but
me
this
ask
is
you about,
big.
you'll
This
be
is
happy,
big stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president,
trying
which
to
is he
pick the
points
question.
out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and
Yes.
the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
well, if I can ask you the question,
It's not.
It will
Not what
end
your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for
Obviously
those
not.
people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid.
That's right.
Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be
Obviously.
in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agreed
two.
with Bernie Sanders, who's far left, on the manifesto,
When
we
you-
call it.
when
And that
manifest-
gives you socialized medicine.
How is Trump allowed-
Are you saying
I'm
you
not going
didn't
to
agree?
listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
They got to cut his
Not
mic.
by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm
Not by
here
much.
standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left
Well,
2 days
I tell
early.
you,
You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do
Super
is hurt.
Tuesday. You got
Look,
very lucky.
here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as
Wow.
well. And tonight I'm going to
With
make
what?
sure because
With what?
here's
What a
the deal.
mess.
Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm
Yes.
not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to
Wait,
make
wait,
sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
You're the
Voted
liar.
last in your class, not first in your class.
Last
I
in
want
his
to make
class.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be surprised.
you pick
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy, the
Talk,
wrong night
Joe.
at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Let him-
disavowing it.
There is no
They
manifesto.
gotta cut his mic.
number
Please let
one.
him speak, Mr.
Number
President.
two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
Folks,
that's absolutely agreed
folks, do you
to,
have any
and under that
idea
plan,
what
you have
this clown's
socialized,
doing?
they call
This is
it
a child.
Do you
Mr.
have any
President.
do?
socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well, I
President.
tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care because
Bernie?
because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two,
yeah.
there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take
like a
it away.
petulant child.
He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give
Number
them better
three.
health care at a much lower price because
and by the way, he
Obamacare
doesn't
is
know
no
how.
good.
He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
fixed it.
He has never
I've
offered
already
a
fixed
plan.
it to an
This is a
extent.
joke.
He has never done
This
a
is a
single
joke.
You might
thing.
know, but probably don't. Obamacare
Gentlemen, you
is
realize
no
if you're
good,
both
Joe.
speaking at the
It's no
same
good,
time,
and it's too expensive.
let
This
the
is
president.
idiotic.
Go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate.
That just
we
defunds it.
guarantee pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual
true.
mandate. Listen, this is the way it is, and that destroyed That they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly?
Trump
if I
fixed
run it badly,
Obamacare by
they'll
taking
probably
away the
blame
money.
him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay?
This
I
is
said, you got to
painful.
run it so well.
That's what he's
and I
known
just
for.
had a meeting with them. They said the problem is no matter how well
With
you
who?
run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive.
I got you.
Premiums
I
are
got
too
it.
high, and
That's
it
what his
doesn't work.
people- that's
So
what his people said.
we do want to
No,
get rid of it.
It's
Chris,
an
we
open-
want to get rid of it.
I
and
understand
give
it, sir,
something
but I have
that's
to
cheaper and
give you
better.
roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Correct.
Of course we do.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power.
Correct.
He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's
Correct.
been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He
That's right.
has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
Correct.
All right.
He's
I
against
have one final question for you,
Sure.
Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there.
This is
you
dicey.
call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The
Correct.
issue is the American people should
Correct.
speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how
Are you gonna
strongly
pack
you
the
feel.
court?
Vote now.
you gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure
Why is
you,
Trump
in fact,
talking?
let people know
He doesn't want
you're a
to answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the
You wanna
question
put a lot
is
of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justices,
the
radical
question-
left.
Will you
Who
shut
is
up,
on,
man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
Right, gentlemen, I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
This is a
Pack
joke.
the court.
We have
I'm not going to give a list.
We have
This is
ended
a joke.
this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They should.
I hope they
47
do.
years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject. So
Oh my God.
let's try to be serious about it. We have had more
So
than
far
7
unserious.
million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people
Well, I did great.
have died. Even
We're doing
after
great.
we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Perfect.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID.
Correct.
In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is.
Correct.
Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan.
Wrong.
I laid out
Sir,
back
it's
in
just 2
March
minutes.
exactly
It's so
what we
wrong.
should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools. It costs a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to you...
You have 2 minutes, sir.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count.
We know how
just
many
so you
died here.
understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country.
Wait a minute. It says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks.
Gowns.
We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine.
Why wouldn't
we're
Biden
doing
make
therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
there was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far more people. Far more people. You would have been.
And by the way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
Correct.
We trust Dr. Fauci.
Johnson, Pfizer.
Okay.
By the way,
gentlemen, let me move on to
Trump
questions
like
about
Biden's
the future, because you
interrupting.
both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives.
Biden's not
involved. It is a very
in it.
political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call them left, I don't know what I call them.
So you're suggesting that the head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slaoui?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
he said
Dr.
it's a
Redfield.
possibility.
Guys, who are you going to trust, doctors or this
The
dude?
answer before November 1st. It could also
I'm
be
talking about
after
when it's
that.
generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up. Logistically, they're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be delivering
This is the same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. by the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was
you know
he doesn't.
That was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal: this man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up, though,
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine sooner
I want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight.
Correct.
Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out.
That's right.
He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't,
knows.
or Senator Harris is saying you can't trust the scientists.
No, you can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed.
She said she won't trust it on Trump's say-so.
There's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not, they're the people, and by the way.
I spoke to the scientists that are in charge.
By the way.
They will have the vaccine very soon.
Let him finish.
Do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two. Because guess what? A lot of people died. And a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart?
Yes.
So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
Oh, my God.
If you would have had...
Bring up SAT tests.
Of what I was put through. I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See,
and
we're going to get to the economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going up fast.
Okay.
When
it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to provide them plastic.
Tell that to Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, come on, dude.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them.
That's right.
The Republicans won't meet with him in the Senate. And he sits in his golf course. And I mean, literally, think about it.
You probably play more than I do, Joe.
No.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact...
Well, he wants to shut down this country.
No, he doesn't.
And I want to keep it open. And we did a great thing by shutting it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November 3rd.
I want to move on to another subject.
But those states are not doing well that are shut down right now.
Respond to that.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I
Prop.
put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I
Just
wear
like your
masks
rallies.
when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
Imagine
I will
attacking
say-
Biden.
I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead,
That's
sir.
a bad idea.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money. The Congress.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also
It
said the
matters.
opposite. They've
And
also said
no,
the opposite.
no serious person said the opposite.
They've
no
also said, well, look
serious.
at
I wanna
Dr.
ask you-
Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the
He
opposite.
did not
I
say
want to
the
ask you,
opposite.
we
He
got a
said
little
very
bit more than a
strongly,
minute left in this
masks
segment.
are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks are good.
I
I'm
wanna
okay
ask-
with masks.
I
I'm
want to
not
ask you
fighting
both about
masks.
one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people.
Outside.
Outside, yes, sir, agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with
Because nobody will show up.
people with.
It's true. Nobody
He's a
shows up to his
child.
rallies.
All right. In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You goes first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you
I've
not
done a
worried
great
about it
job
spreading
as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports.
He doesn't have
We use
35,000
airports
Are you
for
not worried
hangars,
about
and we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours' notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see
Sir.
one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing on one another.
We've had no negative
cheek to
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35,000, 40,000
All right.
people.
He
attending
hasn't had
these rallies.
35,000.
Just
Yes.
quickly finish up, because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the
Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
This is almost
in the
pointless,
second
guys.
quarter. The unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening in some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina,
States are
when you
open.
look, and these governors are under siege. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others. You got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost, it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce. Look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. It's prison. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis,
supposedly, right,
have done very well. Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no.
Hold on now. Hold on.
I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in the way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools. Why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right. Your time is up, sir. Well, we are going to get to...
I have to respond to that.
Well, you both had 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So did you.
People want their schools. No, people want their school.
Chris Wallace should be able to cut one of their mics when the other is talking. You have to have that with Trump.
So sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives. They'll be careful, but they want their schools open. I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
all right,
people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know how I found out? When he took
gentlemen, we're going to get to your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President, as you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, in 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Not answering the questions.
I went... you'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to do, go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under-leveraged because the assets are extremely good, and we have a very, I built a great company.
I'm asking you a specific question, which is...
But let me tell you...
I understand all of that. I understand all of that. No, Mr. President,
go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes
in 2016
and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars,
So
yes.
not $750?
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just...
So now the New York Times has to publish the documents.
It was the tax laws I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build a building and we get tax credits, like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired right after that happened. But
Vice President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were
president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe, I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years,
There
Joe.
it is.
We've done things that you never even thought of doing, including fixing the broken military that you gave me.
The reason he didn't think of them is because they're terrible ideas.
Talking about the economy, I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward, because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Trump doesn't know
just take
anything.
a look at what the analysis done by Wall Street firms points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth, because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make this federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But respectfully, sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it before when you were vice president with Obama?
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was your tax proposal.
I got it done. And you know what happened?
Yeah, you got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed.
The economy is
Mr. President, Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
Not lower taxes for American people.
But let me,
Excuse me.
He's talking to Trump.
In Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look,
what company?
We inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
booming.
Blew it.
Of course it
wasn't booming.
Job growth slowed down under Trump. That's factually true.
Is it fair to say he blew it when there was record low unemployment before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in a hole.
Excuse
number
me,
one.
Chris. Wait.
Number two.
Chris.
Number three.
They said it would take. No, you were number two.
No.
Chris.
What?
They said it would
This
take
guy
a
is
miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing.
We
Part
did
of
not
my
agree.
standard fare.
I'm the guy that
He
brought
totally
back
gave
the
up on
automobile
manufacturing.
industry.
All right, let him.
We brought back, I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in from Germany, from Japan, went to Michigan, went to Ohio.
They're not having that.
And they didn't come in with you.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit
China
with
ate
Mexico.
your lunch, down
All right, gentlemen,
18%. China ate your lunch, Joe. And no wonder your son goes in and he takes out. He takes out billions of dollars. Takes out billions of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also,
Simply
while we're
not
at it,
true.
why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
None
You've
of
asked
that
your
is
question,
true.
let him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He didn't get
But no,
$3.5 million?
Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally-
President, please.
Totally
ask the question.
discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
Well, wait, he didn't get
No,
$3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice
He got
Mr.
$3.5 million.
President,
it is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President,
But,
it's an open discussion, please.
Now,
It's a fact.
Well,
It
you
is
have
not a
raised an
fact.
issue. Let the
It's been
Vice
totally
President answer.
discredited.
Did
There was a
Burisma pay him
report.
$183,000 a month? With no experience in
This
energy?
is a joke,
Look,
guys.
With no
my
job?
son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
and
Mr.
the only
President,
guy that
let
did
him
something-
answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth.
They have to take time. You have to have some mechanism to deal with that.
And you
The media.
By everybody. Well, by the
By the
media,
media,
by our
because they refuse to
allies,
talk
by the
about it
World
because they're
Bank,
embarrassed.
by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even
Mr.
the
President,
people who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
Under
ask you
oath.
this,
Henry,
Joe.
under
No,
oath.
go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to
Even the
you.
people under,
You got to
He got
cut his mic.
$3.5
he
million
testified,
from Moscow.
he testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like to
honorably.
know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
fire
people who
them.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a
Some
good
because
job.
some people don't do
well,
a good
here's
job.
The,
With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say-
You get
here's the
wait a
deal.
minute. You get the final word, Mr.
well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me. This.
Hey,
this
let me just
person.
say, Joe.
No. Mr. President.
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
That is simply.
Why
gotta
did
let
he
him
deserve
talk.
$3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family,
No, let him go.
my
You
family
gotta
lost
let
a
him
fortune
talk.
by coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's
Every-
such a.
they're right
Go
here.
ahead, Mr.
That's
President.
such a
Every
great.
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
President.
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us
family.
with
It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't
American
collect
people.
$3.5 million.
He doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about.
you
here.
should
All right,
Not
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
can I
ex-
be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
He
I
stood
get
up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is no.
threatened Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
that
get rid of
is
the Kurds.
You know what?
absolutely not
stop.
You're on
true.
tape doing it.
You're going to
Not
have
tape.
True.
This is the downfall of American democracy, guys.
voice,
He's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you?
I should
So
turn
here's
it
the
off.
deal.
Good point.
We
I really
have
should.
6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments.
This is
In those
sad.
2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well,
He's
frankly, you've
uninterrupted.
been doing more interrupting
Oh, that's
than
all
he
right,
has.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less
there's
than.
plenty.
No.
Do people want to get banned for like mercy bans just so you don't have to watch this? Just let the moderators know.
You say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president has ever said anything like that.
It is who's
now,
sir.
Second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military use tear gas on him so he could walk across to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African-American community.
So, President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with racism?
He did a crime bill, 1994.
Oh, God.
Where you call them super predators, African Americans, super predators. And they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir. It's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator. And
I don't think Joe said that, actually.
Now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that.
I don't think
because
you
you
did.
look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals. Total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day, and they put up their hands, and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40 cities are run by Democrats.
Cities are run by Democrats because Democrats live in cities.
Finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race. Vice President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there is. There's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work and in law enforcement and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, to the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor. Most don't like it. But we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right,
what is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of the town and burn down your stores and kill people all over the place,
that
and you
is
say
not
peaceful protest?
No one's
it's
defending
not,
that.
but you say it is.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the issue of race.
Please.
I promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment.
Fine.
This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody else. And he would know.
What is radical about racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and, frankly, very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
What?
We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And
this is how authoritarians talk.
Nobody's doing that. He's the racist.
You just don't know.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important that people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like...
It'd be great to force Trump to answer, is there systemic racism?
On people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson, you go to many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
But
Lord.
the reason is that
ridiculous.
the Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
and you
crime.
still haven't mentioned.
Violent
Are you
crime.
in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow it.
Are you in favor of law and order? Go ahead,
Yes, I'm
say
in
it.
favor.
You asked a question, let him finish.
Law and order.
Let him answer.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more than ours.
All right, we're down. Mr. President, you're going to...
Wait, so is Trump arguing crime is up or crime is down?
Mr. President, you're going to be very happy because we're now going to talk about law and order.
Places we had trouble were Democratic-run cities.
That's exactly my question. There has been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%. Crime. It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone.
That's ridiculous.
And you would see problems like you've never seen.
He would know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
I was raised,
Go ahead. Wait a minute.
I was raised
suburbs
in the
better,
suburbs.
guys?
This is not 1950. All these dog whistles on racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs.
Right.
His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded.
Yes.
They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. Yeah. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means...
let me, if I might finish the question. What does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
What?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding it, his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist.
Correct.
To keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what they're talking
excellent.
about, Chris. That's not what they're talking about. He's talking
exactly,
about defunding the
that,
police.
That is
no.
not true.
He doesn't have any law support.
Look,
he has no law enforcement
that's not
support.
true.
Almost
that's
nothing.
Look.
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you.
This is idiocy.
Look,
think. We have time.
We don't have time to do anything.
No, think about it. Name
folks,
one law enforcement group that came out and supported you.
Gentlemen, I think I'm going to take back the moderator's role, and I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is, as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence?
Why is the
Portland?
assumption that you bring in the
Guard? I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it.
But you've never called for the people, the leader. Excuse me, sir. You have never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to bring in the National Guard and knock off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Really? Here's the thing.
I sent in the U.S. Marshals to get the killer of the young man in the middle of the street. They shot him, and for 3 days,
President Trump,
Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that. And so here's the point. The point is that that's what he is, keeps trying to rile everything up. He doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly, and every single solitary time.
And to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir.
Button up.
You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
No, you have repeatedly.
Wait,
you have
no,
you've been talking back
and forth. You made a statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to end it.
Sir.
I would love to end it.
You know, if you want to switch seats,
you got to cut his
very
mic.
quickly.
We can do that, but
I'd send in the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing to do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
do it.
peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and white
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got to be
not
kidding.
militia. That's what his FBI. His FBI director said.
Well,
you
know what?
No, we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
When a bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous,
all right,
radical
gentlemen,
group.
we're now moving on to the Trump and Biden records.
They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent? In this segment, President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. Ooh. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job. But despite going through all of these things, where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. He was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you something, some people say maybe the most important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300.
Dystopian.
And hopefully 3 great Supreme Court justices.
Horrible.
That is a record, the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so many judges? Because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to fill. When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like, you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us 128 openings, you can't be a good president, you can't be a good vice president. But I want to thank you, because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that number by the end of this term. 300 judges. It's a record.
What?
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Under this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent. When I was vice president, We inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy, and he caused a recession. With regard to being weaker, the fact is that I've gone head-to-head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
That's true.
$3.5 million. And by the way, my son...
Wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can you add
No, I'm not asking. That was a rhetorical question.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yes,
Trump took it literally.
Go ahead.
So, thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more.
Trump started to explain why he won't shut up.
By a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers.
Yes.
My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about Hunter?
hell.
Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Beau Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Beau. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter
you know
got
Beau.
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It
For
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use. And he didn't have a job
shit.
until you became vice president. And once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
he
This is
made
ugly.
a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made
son,
a fortune.
my son,
And he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it.
Disgusting.
He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he
I'm proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right.
But
dollars?
he wasn't given
All right.
tens of
He
millions
was
of
given
dollars. That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's
dollars.
totally
President Trump,
discredited.
we've already been through.
This
Totally
guy is
discredited.
disgusting.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a
I know, but when
judgment call
somebody
here.
gets $3.5 million
Okay, right.
from the
Let's
mayor
talk about
of Moscow,
Let's talk
That is
about
not
think it's
true.
a terrible
That
thing.
report is totally
Why did he get it?
discredited.
I
Mitt
think,
Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers'
Gen-
money, that report. It was written for political reasons.
you know, I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful, clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else.
Untrue.
The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old,
That's
and
not
they're
the
like
issue.
tinder. And leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management.
What do you
You've got to have
believe?
cuts.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. You know, we're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very
Do you
exciting
believe
for a lot of people.
that human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of
I
this
think
planet?
a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. I think to an extent, yes. But I also think we have to do better management of our forests.
Management.
Every year,
Raking.
I get the call, California's burning.
Tinder.
California's burning. If that was cleaned, if that were if you had forest management, good forest management, you wouldn't be getting those calls. You know, in Europe, they live their forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a major country.
Major.
It's a forest city.
Not a minor
one. He said, sir, we have trees that are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it. I'm getting along very well with the governor. But I said, you know, at some point, you can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground. But, sir, that's burning down because of a lack of management.
But, sir, if you believe in the science of climate change, why have you rolled back the Obama Clean Power Plan, which limited carbon emissions in power plants? Why have you relaxed?
Because it was driving energy prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards that are going to create more pollution from cars and trucks?
Well, not really, because what's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a much safer car. And you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are
2 or 3 more cars purchased. That's a lot of cars driving around.
It would be much cheaper by $3,500.
In the case of California, they've simply ignored.
No, but you would take a lot of cars off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, so, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me, many people. The car has gotten so expensive because they have computers all over the place for an extra little bit of gasoline. And, and I'm okay with electric cars, too. I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars. But what they've done in California is just crazy.
Right. Vice President Biden, I'd like you to respond to the president's climate change record, but I also want to ask you about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits on fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity by 2035, and zero net emission of greenhouse gases by 2050. The president says a lot of these things would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations and all of the highways that we're going to be building in the future. We're going to build an economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the ability of us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now to create thousands and thousands of jobs. We can get to net zero in terms of energy production by 2035. Not only not costing people jobs, creating jobs.
Good stuff.
Creating millions of good paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage, by having a new infrastructure that, in fact, is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart. And talk about someone who has no relationship with foreign policy. Brazil, the rainforests of Brazil are being torn down, are being ripped down. More carbon is absorbed in that rainforest than every bit of carbon that's emitted in the United States. Instead of doing something about that, I would be gathering up and making sure we had the countries of the world coming up with $20 billion and say, here's $20 billion. Stop tearing down the forest. And if you don't, then you're going to have significant economic consequences.
What about the argument that President Trump basically says that you have to balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line?
Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, makes sure that he wants to make sure that methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is a guy who says that, well, the fact that it's all true. And here's the deal.
He's talking about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
I'm talking about
where they want to
supply
rip down
and
buildings
Go for a minute, and then you can go.
and rebuild the building.
No,
It's the
that is
dumbest,
not-
most
that
ridiculous.
is not
where airplanes are out of business,
That's it.
where two-car systems are out, where they
Not
want to
true.
take out the cows too.
Not
That's
true.
not true either, right?
And cows.
This is a $100 trillion.
Look,
that's more money than our
is-
country could make in
that is
100
simply
years if we're
not
going.
the case.
All right, let me
destroy our
because I
country.
actually wait a minute, sir. I actually have studied your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy-efficient homes. So the question becomes: the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good-paying jobs.
Let him finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that.
$100 billion.
The fact is, it's going to create millions of good-paying jobs, and these tax incentives to people for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes. By the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. They may.
I never said that.
That's
at all.
what he did say.
You made it up.
And here's the deal.
You make up.
We are going to be in a position where we can create hard, good jobs by making sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars now.
That's weird.
Billions of dollars on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happened just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. That didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. We make up 15% of the world's problem. But the rest of the world, we've got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not
$20
my
billion.
plan.
That's
the Green
New
Deal
you want to rebuild every
is
building.
not my plan.
You want to rebuild every.
If he knew anything about, if he knew anything
he made a
about,
statement about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay,
that is
what
not
he
true.
did
Sir,
is he
you're done in
said
this segment.
he called the military
Mr. Vice President,
stupid bastards.
I
and he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape. He said stupid bastards.
Please,
Totally
sir,
out of context.
I would never say that.
play
Stop.
It was
Play
a
it.
joke. Play the video.
Mr. Vice President answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
I'm having a little trouble
economy.
myself.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
Do you support that?
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I
that
support
means you
the
just
bottom.
lost the radical left.
I support
The radical left will go vote for Trump now.
that I put forward.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the radical Green New Deal.
All right, gentlemen, final segment, election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving mail-in ballots or going to vote early. How confident should we be that this will be a fair election? And what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks? Because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after Election Day.
Not if Trump can help it.
What are you prepared to do to reassure the American people that the next president will be the legitimate winner of this election? In this final segment, Mr. Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com. Decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security Director, and as well as the FBI Director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that. The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that will be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go.
Yes.
He can't stay in power.
Yes.
It won't happen.
Yes.
It won't happen. So vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years.
Please clap.
Is it going to change, or you get 4 more years of these lies?
Mr. President, 2 minutes.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition, because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won, and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that, because we caught you in a sense. And President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country.
Sir.
There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well, because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months.
Years.
Because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other places. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud, and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say, you have to have your ballot in by November 10th. November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states with that. All run by Democrats.
Not a minor state.
All run by Democrats. It's
President Trump,
it's a rigged election.
You're going to be able to continue. You have been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so. Because what's happening is incredible. I read today, where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were invalidated. They take them, we don't like them, we don't like them.
But what are you going to do about it if there are millions of ballots going out right now?
What you do is you go and vote. You do a solicited ballot, and that's okay, or you go and vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people...
You go and vote. You go and vote.
But
like
what I'm
they,
saying is,
like they used to in the old...
Millions of people...
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending... They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia, mailmen selling the ballots. They're being
West
sold.
Virginia?
They're being dumped in rivers. This is a horrible thing for our country.
There is no.
This is not.
There is no.
This is not going to end well.
There is no
This is
evidence of that.
not going to end well.
5 states have had mail-in ballots for the last decade or more. 5, including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit the ballot. It's sent to you.
It's fine.
It's sent to your home. What we're saying is, they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by election day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid of counting the votes because
You're wrong. You're wrong.
I want to continue with you on this, Vice President Biden.
Chris, he's so wrong when he makes a statement like that.
Excuse me. Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there is some other irregularity, or they missed the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, Chris, when you have 80 million ballots,
I have a final
Senate
question.
and swamping the system, you know it can't be done. You know it can't, and already there's been
so
fraud.
Mail service delivers
wait a minute, gentlemen. And the final question is, in 8 states, we can keep talking. In 8 states, election workers are prohibited, currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and flatten them until Election Day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks.
Could be months.
Until we find out who the new president is.
Could be 5 days.
First for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest? And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you go first.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They were called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things.
Well, you have to sign up to be a poll watcher.
I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what,
does that
from
mean,
a common sense,
does that mean
I'll
you're going
tell
to
you
tell
what
your
it means.
people to take to the
It means you have a fraudulent election. You're sending out 80 million ballots. They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number one. Number two, they cheat. They cheat.
What will you do?
Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name military ballots. They were military. They all had the name Trump on them.
Vice President
you think
Biden,
that's good?
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm?
Of course.
While the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes, and here's the deal.
Simple.
You count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until Election Day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's what's going to happen. Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all that there is fraud related to mail-in ballots. that somehow it's a fraudulent process.
It's already been established. Take a
is
look
not.
at Carolyn Maloney's race.
I asked you had an opportunity to respond. Go ahead.
They haven't even, no one's even alleged fraud in that race.
No idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know why? Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are counted,
it's over.
All the votes are counted.
It's over.
That'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome. And I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to see an honest ballot count.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there. To be continued in more debates as we go on. President Trump, Vice President Biden, it's been an interesting hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic for hosting this event. The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, will be 1 week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. The 2 vice presidential nominees, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris, will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch. Until then, thank you and good night.
So listen, guys, I'm going to give you my assessment. Is Trump saying anything to Joe there? It's hard to tell what's going on. Let's keep an eye out here. Trump is pointing
of the 2020 election cycle.
Let's take a look at what happens. Don't leave, because I have an offer for you and a request. So there's Melania. Oh my God, this is pathetic. Okay, so listen, guys. Here's my request and here's my offer. My request is, if you want to be notified of future debate streams, then just subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or follow if you're watching on Twitch. It's free, it's quick, it's easy. Okay, we've got 1.02 million subscribers on YouTube. Help us make it 1.03. If you're watching on Twitch, we've got 51,000 followers. Let's make it 52,000. It's free. That's my ask of you. Now, I have an offer for you. If you want a mercy ban, if you were as distraught by this as I was, quite frankly, and you want a mercy ban from the moderators so that you can't watch the future debates, I would understand it. I would understand it, and you can ask for a mercy ban in the chat, and, you know, moderators will evaluate it, and then they will decide if, you know, you have achieved a worthy status for a mercy ban. So if you want to watch the next ones, I really would appreciate if you subscribe or follow. It's free. And if you need my help not to watch the next one, just ask for the mercy ban, and then we will put you out of your misery from the standpoint of my channels. Okay, I think I probably will take a few voice calls on our Discord, as I promised. You guys know I stick to my promises here, all right? davidpakman.com/Discord. You can get in the, how do you do? I don't even know how you do it. You get in the waiting lobby, the audio waiting lobby, okay? And then I'll hear from a few people. We have had 286 people sign up on our website, joinpakman.com today. Help me get to 300, okay? That's our primary funding source, and just 14 more, and we will knock out a record that we have never seen before, 300 new website members during one stream. Thank you to people who have gifted and subscribed over on Twitch. Thank you to people who have sent super chats, people via super chat saying open the phone lines. I did say if we got 50,000 live viewers, I would open the phone lines. We had 64,000 live concurrent. 64,000 live concurrent across various platforms. It is a record for us, and I will indeed open up the phone lines. We are going to do it via Discord, so please go to davidpakman.com/Discord, and you can get in the waiting lobby, okay? I'm going to just talk to a few people. It is a school night, very, very powerful evening, but there's really something for everybody. Now, here's my assessment of the debate, okay? That was not a good performance by Joe Biden. It just wasn't. He seemed unsure and unstable. He had 3, maybe 4 strong answers. But Donald Trump is completely out of his mind. He's talking like a dictator. He's talking like an authoritarian. He's dancing around. Will he actually denounce white supremacists and say, he said militias should stand by when he asked them to stand down. I mean, he had no substantive answers. So, I'm not the target here. You're probably not the target. The question is the sort of, average undecided or person who's unsure if they are going to vote or not going to vote. I don't know how this impacted them. I'm going to take the night to think about it. It's like Biden was slow. Trump was nuclear out of his mind. It's just not even a comparison. And but listen, I see people saying Biden did well. He called Rect TPRG says Biden did well and called Trump out to his face. Yes, Biden had 4 or so good answers. He had 3 or so call outs that I think were good. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it was great. I think it was probably good enough given how much of a disaster Donald Trump was, All right, let's hear from a few people. davidpakman.com/Discord. Please be ready. I don't even know how this works. I'm going to try now. Let me just see. Okay. How do I do this? Do I just press someone? I need to drag them into the live room. How the hell do I do this? I still don't know. Voice chat, waiting lobby. Can someone tell me how to do this? I see a bunch of people in waiting lobby. What do I do in order to bring them on? Does anybody know? Holy shit, what a system. I guess, do I drag them into the recording studio? And then I join? Okay, I think we're on with someone. Let me see who's on here. Hold on a second. Who am I on with? Wombat Master. Can you hear me, Wombat Master?
I can hear you, David Packman.
Wow. What's on your mind? What did you think?
Well, okay, so I live in the Iron Range of Minnesota. Manufacturing is a very important thing. Trump has done nothing for anyone up here. It's amazing how angry and vehemently terrible that guy was. Biden looked like your old ass uncle. Sorry for swearing. Your old uncle, who definitely looked like, he's not going to be around for too much longer. I just hope people see this and really get out there and get involved in your local politics, care about local elections, or we're just going to let these people not listen to the people in their 30s, 40s, and 20s anymore.
All right, very good. So is yours a message of optimism? I have a hard time telling.
It is. We'll call it cautious optimism.
Okay.
I think we'll get there. I think maybe once we're all hopped up on Halloween candy, right. I think that'll help.
All right, very good, Wombat Master. And let's see now how we take people off. All right, I took someone off. Let me now. I think I'm getting the hang of this. We are hearing from people. Let's go to. Hold on a second. Let's go to Jesse B. Jesse B, are you with me? Jesse B bailed. Okay, let's go to Jethro Bodine. Jethro Bodine, how are you? Jethro Bodine, you're on live.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, David. So I definitely agree with your assessment that Biden wasn't great, but Trump literally had a meltdown in front of our faces on live TV.
Right.
Probably my biggest concern was when he said he's urging his supporters, his people, to watch the polls. People are going to interpret that any number of different ways.
Absolutely.
That scares the absolute hell out of me.
Absolutely.
However, I did literally stand and applaud Joe Biden telling him to shut up to his face. I've been begging to do that since 2015. So
yeah, Biden had a few good moments. That was good when he mentioned injecting bleach. It was good. I thought the lowest blow was when Trump talked about Hunter Biden and cocaine. I thought that was just disgusting.
That was abhorrent. For a second, I thought he was even confusing Beau and Hunter.
Yeah,
for a second there, I thought he was literally confusing Beau Biden with Hunter, and like that my jaw hit the floor. I was like, but I mean, he didn't necessarily recover either.
Also, by the way, when Trump said, yeah, who do you want me to condemn? But then he didn't actually condemn anybody.
He called out the Proud Boys. He literally name dropped the Proud Boys without being like
unprompted.
Exactly. That was another kind of like holy shit moment, because that the whole thing with Roger Stone being in touch with the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
I don't think you can convince me that Trump isn't still in contact with Roger Stone in any way. Like, kind of, I mean, tinfoil hat time, but like pulling the strings in a way,
Yeah,
because
well,
like we
let's
saw the
stop.
Elaine
Listen,
article.
we have enough actual conspiracies. We don't need to go
Yeah,
into hypothetical ones. Jethro, listen, I
fair,
appreciate
absolutely.
hearing from you. Really appreciate you watching with us today.
Thanks, David.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
there's Jethro. Let's go next to. This is actually working okay. Let's go next to Ethan. Ethan, you're on live.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can. What's going on?
So I just had 2 quick questions.
Sure.
About, well, first off, I want to say that was a total joke.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump was insane.
Embarrassing. But by the way, Chris Wallace was not great either. I thought the questions were mediocre, but if you have to have some way of controlling it. And if you don't think you can, you need a mute button. You need to be able to cut people's mic.
Yeah. So that was one of my questions was, do you think that future moderators are going to be able to deal with Trump? Because it wasn't great.
There may be rules about whether the moderator is even allowed a mic cut. I don't think you'll need it for Kamala with Mike Pence, but they're going to need to figure this out for the next debate, because this was just an embarrassment.
Yeah. And another question is, do you think that this will, do you think either performance was a negative or positive for both of them? So do you think Trump had a negative performance in that he'll lose support? And do you think Biden had a performance where he would gain support or lose support? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think either performance was bad enough that anybody's base is going to abandon them. And ultimately, that's really what this may be about. If you take a qualitative analysis, like, for example, Alan Lichtman, who believes that the keys to who wins are qualitative, not about debates or whatever, I don't think either did so poorly that their base will abandon them. And in that case, my guess is the debates will end up being a non-factor.
Okay. Yeah, just a closing thing is, I agree with you where you were saying that Biden didn't have a great performance, because I felt several times, I had a physical reaction to some of his blunders, but
yeah,
I don't think you can even bring that up in comparison to what Trump did tonight, because I mean,
it was insanity.
At points, it was just painful to try to listen to it.
Yeah, it's globally embarrassing.
It was hurting my ears.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. All right, Ethan, thank you very much. Great to hear from you. We're just hearing from a few people. Oh, you know who's holding? Our big time supporter, Chakaseki. We've never spoken before. Chakaseki, you're on live. Yellow. Chakaseki. Chakaseki, are you muted? Oh, boy. All right, I've got to move Chakaseki back to the lobby. That's too bad. Let's go to Anthony V. Anthony V, hello. You are live.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can. I'm going to turn you down a little because you're coming in very hot.
I apologize. I'll put my mic away a little bit.
What can I do for you?
Are we good? Are we good now?
We are.
All right. So overall, my perspective, I mean, I think both sides got out of their favored guy what they wanted. Biden was very much more substance, while Trump was more abstract stuff that he would want.
That is maybe the biggest understatement that I've ever heard. Trump's approach was a more abstract approach. I like that.
Right. And one of my bigger concerns just for the results of this debate, Chris Wallace you could kind of see the perspective of like a Trump voter saying, oh, Chris Wallace was siding with Biden because he was going back and forth with Trump because Trump would be interrupting Biden, which, like, from our perspective, we're like, well, of course he would do that. He's the moderator. He needs to do his job.
Yeah.
But the Trump voters are just going to say, oh, man, the fake news is siding with the Democrats. And I hope that rhetoric doesn't backfire too much.
I don't think, listen, the average American who's trying to figure out who to vote for, is not going to be influenced by after the fact Republicans saying that Wallace was tougher on Trump than he was on Biden. I just think the stakes in this election are so much bigger than that.
Right.
That's my sense.
But overall, I think Biden did a bit better than most people would suspect he would do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people put him down saying, oh, he would just be a blubbering mess. Trump, pretty much exactly what I predicted. I feel like, any question he was posed, I could kind of predict the things he would say, and I was mostly right.
And it's been the exact same bullet points Trump's been using during his press briefings and during everything. It was the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, and I think what Biden needs to do more in the future is just bring up some of the stuff Trump has said. He did that a few times. The bleach injections, nuking hurricanes, these insane things that Trump brings up on a daily basis. He just needs to bring those up so much more. And
I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you.
Yep.
All right, Anthony, appreciate hearing from you. Hope to hear from you again. I really appreciate that we've had a second successful Level 5 hype train over on Twitch. We've had 325 people sign up on my website. We've had super chats exploding. They've been coming in like a faucet. Not Trump's faucet. We know Trump seems to have problems with plumbing, but like normal faucets that I have. Let's hear from a couple of other people. Why don't we go to Vanity? Vanity, what's going on? Vanity, are you with us? I hear background noise, Vanity, but you can speak now.
Oh, sorry. I think there's a delay between your stream and the Discord call.
Yes, you should only be listening on the Discord, not the stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. That was kind of a surreal experience, the debate.
Yes.
What really scared me was when Trump said, I think America needs to go back to our core values when talking about race theory implementation and things like that.
Completely authoritarian dog whistle red meat. I agree with you.
Yeah, that kind of scared me, and I was like, core values. What core values are you talking about?
This is the same thing as Trump's talking point about we're going to bring back patriotic education. It's vague, but it's very clear dog whistle.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Just wanted to say that was really concerning for me.
All right, Vanity, thank you so much. Great to hear from you. Guys, I promised I would talk to people, and I am doing it. I stick to my word. Let's see who else we've got here. Let me see if there's any sort of VIPs, so to speak, although everybody's very special, but just see if anybody I recognize. The thing is, on Discord, it's not people's real names. It's just handles. So, if you're a known caller, if you change your handle to a name I'd recognize, you would probably have a better shot at getting on. Let's go to Big Paps. Big Paps. Can you hear me? Hold on a second. What's going on? All right, Big Paps, sorry. Can you hear me now? You seem muted on your end, Big Paps. I can't unmute you. Can you unmute? All right, Big Paps. One other opportunity. I have not muted you.
Wait. Here, can you hear me now?
There you are. You almost lost it there.
I know. I was, dealing with stuff. I have a couple questions that I just wanted to ask you.
Sure.
First of all, I didn't find the debate memorable at all. It was very uninteresting. I thought that the answers, nothing really hit home. It was really hard to understand everything, especially because of the amount of interruptions. That was ridiculous. It gave me a migraine. But
Agreed.
I wanted to ask you, what moment did you find most memorable in the debate? Considering I found most of it uninteresting and
if you said to me of the entire 90 minutes, what stands out, it was the vile moment where Trump brought up Hunter's cocaine. Like, if I had to drill down one moment, it's sort of that.
I kind of agree. It was almost everything just felt wrong.
Yeah.
Everything just felt. Why would you bring sons into it? I mean, Biden answered that very well, saying that you could talk all night about the Trump family, and he's so right about that. I have a couple other questions. What upset you the most? All right, I guess actually, You answered that a little bit, but what excited you the most? What excited you the most in this debate? What got you excited out of your seat a little bit?
Honestly, Biden's closing about voting, I thought was maybe one of his strongest 4 moments. And there's something called a peak end bias. It's a behavioral economics heuristic, which Daniel Kahneman wrote about. And people tend to remember the peak, and people tend to remember the end. And if the end was Biden talking about voting, followed by 2 minutes of literal unhinged insanity from Donald Trump, that probably is good for Biden, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That last closing line that Biden did showed who was the president for all of America and who was the president for a much smaller percent of America.
I completely agree with you. And if that's, for the few undecideds, that are out there, if that's what they remember, I think it helps Biden and hurts Trump.
100%. Well, thanks for having me in the little Discord.
Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. All right. Big Paps is gone. We'll talk to a couple of other people. Let's go to Jason Torn. Jason Torn, you can go ahead and unmute and maybe tell me what you thought about the debate. Jason Torn, you are still muted. It is a self-mute. I have not imposed it on you, so you need to unmute. You can unmute Jason Torn if you are there. All right. Jason Torn is out. Did not unmute. Let's go to Kenny from Berkeley. Kenny from Berkeley, you are on. I was going to ask for name and town, but I guess you're Kenny from Berkeley.
Yeah, what up, David? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm kind of wallowing in the misery that was, this whole year and, this debate performance. I don't know what the last caller was saying about it not being memorable. I thought it was particularly memorably bad.
In total, you mean?
Oh, yeah, in total. Like in grand sum, I think we're going to look back on this. My friends and I are currently debating if this will be the only one of the year, but I think we'll remember this as legendarily awful.
It was, in total, it was awful. I think the previous caller was asking more about what particular moments were memorable and pointing out that there weren't that many. But in total, this is the worst presidential debate I've ever seen. And I've been watching presidential debates since, I guess, 1996, really.
That's when I was born. Let's go.
This is the worst debate I can ever remember.
Yeah, I can't say I remember debates to my infancy, but so I've been watching them. I guess I vaguely remember Kerry Bush. That was really my first one.
Right.
So I guess I was 8 for that. So
yeah.
I barely remember that crap. But so I wanted to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I've been talking with my mother. My mother she's basically always voted Republican, and she kind of drinks the Kool-Aid when it comes to Hillary being evil. She's not like a QAnon conspiracy theorist or anything.
Okay.
But she objects to Hillary in much the way that the right wing would before people like you and me would object to Hillary Clinton, just as an example.
Okay.
She voted for Gary Johnson in 2016 because, she's basically sticking her tongue out at both sides, which I totally understand. But in talking to her tonight, she was kind of disappointed to see Joe Biden. She said also stoop to Trump's level and participate in the name calling. I didn't really catch that happening as much.
I mean, I guess Biden referred to Trump as a clown.
That's true.
But no, I mean, listen, Trump sort of softly did the Biden doesn't remember or know anything dementia stuff. He said Biden's stupid. He talked about being at the bottom of his class and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, Biden said just shut up. And he called him a clown. But, I mean, listen, if that disqualifies Biden, then isn't Trump also disqualified?
Yes, and I think that's her whole point. She'll never vote for Trump.
Right.
Her whole thing was to try to... So she lives in Rhode Island, and her whole thing was to try to get, I guess, the local Libertarian Party to a 5% threshold for more representation, which I think is a somewhat valiant way to vote. But this is kind of a tragedy of the commons thing, right? If none of us decide to pick the lesser of two evils, then in this case the Trump supporters are just going to win. Like,
that's right. Yeah, this is not the year for third party stuff. This is a year to run up the score. Listen, Kenny, are you calling me from a server room or something?
Actually, no. I have a fan on. Sorry.
Oh, the fan. Okay, no problem. Just wondering. All right, very good, Kenny. I appreciate hearing from you.
How's that? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, it's
Is
a little
that any
better. It's a little better, yeah.
Okay. Good to hear. Well, David, I appreciate what you're doing. Congrats on the 1 mil. You're awesome. I've been watching you every day on the members show for about 6 months now. So I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Say hi to Pat, and hoping to get back to New England sometime in the near future.
All right, we will do it. Kenny from Berkeley, very much appreciate that. Thanks for being a member. Also, by the way, thanks to the 330. Oh, wait, it's 336. We've never seen anything like this. You know when Trump bullshits and says you're going to see numbers like you've never seen before, and it's obviously a lie? We have never seen 336 new website members in a single day. We've just never seen it. We've never seen it. So with the stroke of 11 p.m. here on the East, I never knew what that meant, but I like it, the stroke of 11. We are going to end our coverage for today. Please, before you head out, if you are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified of our VP debate stream next week. If you're watching on Twitch, please click the follow button so that you'll be notified of future streams. Big thank you to Levy Rosman, Gotham Chess, for the raid earlier in the evening over on Twitch. Which I did see, but we were in the middle of a bunch of different things. And we are going to have a little bit of the Convalescent Plasma song to play us out. I'll see everybody tomorrow on the show, VP debate next week. What an evening.
To make a truly historic announcement in our battle against the China virus that will save countless lives. Convalescent strong antibodies from the blood of recovered patients to help treat patients battling a current infection. Convalescent is the only possible, and it's only made possible because of Operation Convalescent. Today I'm pleased to make a truly historic announcement in our battle against the China virus that will save countless lives. We provided $48 million to fund the Mayo Clinic study that tested the efficacy of convalescent plasma. The virus. Convalescent plasma. This is the only possible